honoring the Historic Preservation Month, May 2023. Whereas the National Trust for Historic Preservation established May as Historic Preservation Month in 1973 as a way to promote historic places for the purpose of instilling community pride, promoting heritage tourism, and showing the social and economic benefits of historic preservation. Whereas historic preservation helps maintain community character while enhancing livability and gives citizens a deep understanding of their diverse heritage and a greater appreciation of our unique historic and natural resources. Whereas historic preservation is an effective tool to build awareness with the concerns of neighborhood history, the city's heritage, and the economic benefits realized by initiating improvements and restoring a community to a thriving condition. Now therefore be it resolved, I, David Pennington, Mayor of the City of Dalton, Georgia, hereby proclaim May 2023 as Historic Preservation Month and proudly recognize our local Historic Preservation Commission for their dedicated efforts so that historic resources in our city can be preserved for future generations. Thank you, Catherine, for what you do.
Thank you.
Now I've got two special recognitions. First, Caleb Carnes for your building. I guess it was Jefferson's, right? Yep. Yeah. Thank you for what you do. And thank you for attracting that business here too. And then Michelle Little and Kayla Zuba for 2002 South Hamilton Street.
Mr. Mayor, we've got photos of the completed projects on the screen as
Okay.
well.
Yeah. Thank y'all. Yeah. Thank y'all. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah.
We're a family medicine office.
Okay. Y'all were at the mill, weren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Minutes of the April 17th meeting are before you. Any additions, corrections, deletions?
Motion to approve is written.
Motion by Ms. Sams. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Mock. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Under unfinished business, number 4, ordinance 23-07, second reading to repeal ordinance 54-67, riding on apparatus of the city of Dalton to establish an effective date and for other purposes. Todd?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, the purpose of this is to delete the current ordinance that does not allow for non-firefighter personnel to ride on our fire trucks. And the main purpose for doing this is to allow opportunity for those organizations of which we work with on a daily basis, such as 911 employees, to be able to ride with us as a kind of orientation process so they can see how we operate and better facilitate our needs on their end.
Any questions, of the chief? There a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Farah,
Second.
second by Ms. Sams. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Number 5, ordinance 23-08, the request of Marty Lane Pratt to rezone from medium density, single family residential R3 to rural residential R5, attract the land totaling 0.25 acres located at 1425 Jones Street.
Mr. Mayor, I don't see Ethan Calhoun in attendance this evening. And so we had 2 rezoning ordinance proposals. Unless either is time sensitive, I would suggest that we table it.
Do we have?
I know we have one representative of the second ordinance here. And is there a representative from the current 2308?
Do we have a recommendation from?
Veteran. I mean.
We do. The city attorney drafted the rezoning ordinances consistent with the staff recommendation. So
That's right. They were both unanimously approved by the planning commission. There is on the 2308, there are 2 rezoning conditions if it's approved. One is no manufactured homes, and then one is a minimum 1,000 square foot unit. And that's written into your draft of that. But with those zoning conditions, there was unanimous approval, Ms. Sams.
Okay.
My
thank you.
question is, it looks like it's gonna create an island. A R5 island sitting inside of the green. We have that orange will be inside the green. If it's, like
So
you
it's
said,
gonna
if
be
it's,
less dense though.
it would,
Yes.
okay.
If it's going to, Mr. Miller, it's going from R3 to R5, correct?
Correct.
So it'd be less dense.
Believe the proposed use was a duplex, if I remember reading the narrative correctly. Do you want to
You
have?
know,
the app-
it's really dependent on the development plan, Ms. Sams. I'd have to really,
Is the applicant here? Is that what
No, that,
Is the Jones Street applicant in attendance?
why don't we table this one?
Yeah, I moved to table it.
Yeah, let's table this one. Motion by Mr. Fair, is there a second?
second,
Second by Mr. Goodall. All in favor, say aye. All opposed,
Aye.
like sign. Next is ordinance 23-09, the request of Charles and Bernita Cofield to rezone from medium-density, single-family residential R3 to neighborhood commercial attractive of land totaling 2.82 acres located at 618 Veterans Drive.
they are in attendance.
What do you got?
Mr. Minor, could you please brief the council just so that they're aware of the applicant's request?
Evening, everyone. I'm sure everyone probably knows this building. This is the old VFW site on Veterans Drive. Mr. Oliver did a great article in the paper the other day, and if you had a chance to read it, it's quite the interesting history. This building was erected and named after the first casualty in Whitfield County that was killed in World War II, whose name George Edward Smith. And it was later joined and became a part of a post of the congressionally chartered Veterans of Foreign Wars. Unfortunately, the membership dwindled and they couldn't keep up their membership and pay their national dues, so they had to disband the charter. It is the proposed purchaser of the properties in the rear back here, and he has a bakery and he would like to put a second site there as a bakery. It is in a commercial area, although it's zoned R3 because it's adjacent to a church, which is in a baseball field. And again, I'm sure everybody knows the area there. This is really one of the few uses that is appropriate for this site because you couldn't have any type of commercial site there that served alcohol because it's adjacent to a church. So it came before the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission was very much in favor of it as this particular use. So it would be a second site for Mr. Lara's bakery. Can I answer any questions?
There a motion? Motion by Mr. Mock, second by Mr. Goodlet. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign.
Thank you.
Number 7, resolution 23-10, authorizing the adoption and approval of the 2023-24 CDBG program annual action plan. Cindy?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Resolution 2310 authorizes the adoption and approval of our 2023-2024 annual action plan under the Community Development Block Grant Program. This is an advertised competitive process where applicants are submitted and scored in accordance with our 5-year consolidated plan. Our CDBG consultants review and score the applications and make recommendations for the awards. The city held 2 public hearings at the Community Center for public input regarding the recommended public service and public facility awards. For the year 2023-2024, the CDBG program is receiving $367,688. The consultants recommend that Dalton Housing Authority receive $150,000 for 14 HVAC units. Northwest Georgia Family Crisis Center, $25,000 to assist a domestic violence client advocate salary. City of Refuge, $119,150 to replace their HVAC unit, and then program administration $73,538. Any questions?
Motion to approve.
Motion, Mr. Mock, second by Ms. Sams. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Ethan. You're late. Can we untable, are you able to add clarity to number 5, this on Marty Lane Pratt to rezone?
Jones Street.
All right.
Can we untable this?
Yeah, we can.
You can.
Yeah.
You can.
Okay.
I move that we take it off the table for
Second.
consideration.
Motion by Mr. Farrell, second by Ms. Sam's. All in favor, say aye. Both like sign. All right, Ethan. Better late than
Apologize.
never.
Apologize, Mr. Mayor and Council, and I can bring some clarity to this issue. This request was brought to us in regard to the subject property and its current state being a manufactured home that is aging in place. And the petitioner's request was in order to replace the current manufactured home with a duplex, one unit for the petitioner to reside in and their ability to rent the other unit out for income. So we took a look at the area, the zoning and the future development map and looked at some conditions potentially for this property in the sense that it was not a conforming property as it stands. It is in non-conforming status as a manufactured home in the R3 medium density single family zone district. This rezoning would basically allow at maximum density a duplex on the subject property. So this wouldn't allow triplexes, quadplexes, apartments, or any other such density. It would increase from single family to the potential for a duplex, which is exactly what the petitioner has requested. In order to maintain the density for this area, the staff recommendation was that this rezoning could be approved because it would replace this aging manufactured home with a site-built product that we believed would not be a detriment to this location and would be an improvement with the condition that the duplex that's proposed to be built there be a minimum of 1,000 square feet per unit, which would be the same standard in place for the size of any single family detached dwelling. So while it would allow multifamily in the form of a duplex, that duplex would have to have for each unit the same density required in the R3 zone district. And in the same sense, it would be required to be a site-built structure. And the other condition was to ensure that it would not be a replacement of a manufactured home, but rather the construction of that duplex at 1,000 square feet per unit. So there is also a condition on the prohibition for manufactured homes, because manufactured homes in the long run depreciate based on the National Auto Dealer, I believe it's association's assessment, just like a used automobile. So from the sense of the tax digest as well as comparable property values, whereas a site-built building, if maintained over time, can actually appreciate in value. So we believe that that would not create a negative impact to this neighborhood. Any
Did
questions?
anyone from the neighborhood show up?
We heard no opposition. And it was probably, we now post properties 30 days in advance as well. So there was plenty of notice.
And this is not considered an island. And
It's a residential zone district, just like our R3 and R5 oftentimes do border each other. It would be an island of R5 surrounded by R3, but that's where those conditions come into place to make sure that it's not just an island of R5, it's an R5 with conditions. So we don't believe there's any concern for spot zoning or anything like that because of that similarity.
I move we adopt the resolution.
Motion by Mr. Farrell, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Sam's. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, like sign. Mr. Minor stood in for you on the next one, Ethan, so I think he only wants half your pay tonight, so. We already got that done. Number 8, MOU between Dalton Parks and Recreation Department with Georgia Recreation and Parks Association to receive funding through the Boost program. Will?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The Georgia Statewide After School Network partnered with Georgia Department of Education to establish the Boost Grant Program. Georgia Recreation and Park Association was named a primary subgrantee with the Georgia DOE to expand the impact of the Boost Grant. Through the partnership with GRPA and the Georgia DOE, local parks and recreation agencies were encouraged to apply for funding to enhance their summer programming opportunities. Dalton Parks and Recreation Department applied for the Boost Grant with plans to reduce barriers to participation through scholarship opportunities and to enhance learning opportunities throughout the summer. These funds will directly benefit Camp Sunshine, Camp Rising Sun, and Summer Fun Camp. DPRD was awarded $40,000. The awarded funds are to be used for the following: 1, salaries for part-time staff and contract labor; 2, educational field trips; and 3, scholarships.
Any questions? Your motion? Motion by Mr. Mock,
Second.
second by Mr. Fair. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Now, under the two that we added to tonight's agenda, number 9, Arcadia's task order for a stormwater. Andrew?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll have that. And of course, Jackson Shepherd is here with us from Public Works also. As the mayor and council is aware, we've now been engaged with Arcadis as our stormwater planning professional the last 2 years. About 6 to 8 months ago, they delivered to us a flood abatement plan for the city, which performed really like a hydraulic model for the entire city limits and tied it back to FEMA's flood map. And based on that data and known reported flooding and property damage, the team developed a list of somewhere around 40 projects that could be implemented over a period of time to help move the needle on flow attenuation through the city when we have these big storm events. We've got several projects underway. The one that's currently, I guess, most visible is the first phase of the Walnut North drainage plan in the cemetery. But this flood abatement plan identified some issues on the east leg of that system that aren't accounted for in the current project. We've got a 3-phase project that's going to be, the first phase is in the cemetery, second phase along Ridge Street. The third and final phase would be from McFarland Avenue down to Franklin Street and then ultimately to Valley Drive. What the plan did not really account for is the east leg of this drainage basin. And that's the tributary that basically originates just north of the Methodist Church and runs south to Franklin Street. And so we've identified the site of the temple as a potential project site, given that the temple has been vacant now for many years, and there's not a plan for renovating or resuming activities there. And so we've been working with the trustees of the synagogue, the temple, to try to outline a plan that would help achieve the city's goal of reducing the flooding impacts to the property owners south or downstream of the temple site, but also to do a project that would be very that would memorialize the history of the site, but not only that, the history of the Jewish contributions to not just the floor covering industry, but to this community in general. There are many really significant things that the Jewish community played a role in during the carpet heyday, and many of the things that we still enjoy today are because of those contributions. And so this task order would be really a first phase for the Arcadis landscape architects and engineers to begin interfacing with the stakeholders of the Jewish community to determine what would best commemorate and be visually pleasing to try to convert this into a park. And then underneath the park would be a stormwater management tool and underground detention tool. And Arcadis has many other projects that they've been able to appoint us to across the nation where they've been able to do this stormwater relief, but also a park that the community could enjoy. And so the phase, what we're presenting to you tonight, is just to start the conceptual design, to have their team meet with the stakeholders from the Jewish community, and then they would come back and present to the city and that stakeholder group 3 visual concepts of what this could be, what this could look like, so that we can make some informed decisions about the actual design and the project moving forward. The cost of this task order is $28,974, and it would be funded through the city's 2020 bond issue, the funds allocated for stormwater infrastructure. And again, this does not take the step forward to actually start engineering work. This is just to get the landscape architects here to have some stakeholder meetings to meet and develop these 3 concepts that then that group could settle in on, and the council could to chart a path forward as to if the project will be feasible.
Motion. Motion, Mr. Mock, second by Mr. Goodlet. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Number 10, contract with the Court and Trade Center.
Evening, Mayor and Council. As you all know, we have been holding municipal court up at the Trade Center since June of last year. This has been a 6-month and now a 4-month contract. It's a month-to-month contract, but it does provide for about $640 per week to use the facility we're using the auditorium. We're at the end of, in fact, today is the first day of this hopefully new approved contract. And so I'm asking that the mayor and council approve this new contract going forward, allow us to do this on a week-to-week or month-to-month basis. And it's the same terms as I announced in January, which allow us with notice to get out of the contract if we find a different location.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Fair,
Second.
second by Ms. Sounds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign.
Thank you.
There being no supplemental business, I'll entertain a motion. We adjourn.
So moved.